Radio Network.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
It's time for the Kelly Show. Kelly is an award-winning photographer and the owner of the website iloveclearwater.com. Doug is the author of 4 published books and a contributing editor for Florida Sportsman Magazine. And now, here they are.
Yes, indeed, we are here, and thanks for joining us today. I'm with my co-host and better 7/8, Kelly.
Better at 8/8.
8, all right,
Okay.
Make it 8/8. We'll go right over the cliff. And also
right.
Big Ed Davis, the executive producer of the Tan Talk Radio Network, is here and handling the control room, overseeing things, which we always appreciate. And we got a really interesting show today. It's something that somebody did that was on their bucket list, and it's still on mine, dadgummit, and I got to do it too. So I'm going to be very interested in hearing his exploits and whatnot. But it was a safari, so that's all the hint we're going to give you right now. But it's going to be an interesting conversation, and it also talks toward how you can help organizations in the same way. Yeah, you can have fun, you can do things, but you can also do things where it benefits another organization. So, Kel, Why don't we introduce our guest after our advertisements?
Which do you want first, our advertisers or our guests?
I just wanted to see you draw a blank on your face. Now, we're going to take a short break and get a few messages from our sponsors, and then we'll be back with the show. So stay right with us here on the Kelly Show.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
In 1955, the law firm now known as Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes made a decision. Instead of taking whatever cases came through their doors, they decided to focus specifically on personal injury. 64 years later, the law firm is one of Clearwater's longest-running personal injury firms. Available 24 hours a day with offices in Clearwater and throughout Tampa Bay, they're ready to put decades of experience to work for you if you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or injured due to someone's negligence or recklessness. If you feel overwhelmed, uncertain, or unsure about your next steps after being involved in an accident or after a loved one sustained serious injuries due to someone else's negligence, call Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes at 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. That's 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. Non-attorney spokesman.
Shop the largest selection of Guy Harvey apparel, artwork, and gift items at GuyHarvey.com. From the world-renowned marine wildlife artist, the Guy Harvey online shop features the latest in performance apparel, classic Guy Harvey t-shirts, decor for every room in your home, exquisite ocean-inspired jewelry, and unique gift items, including custom merchandise not available anyplace else. Browse an extensive catalog of original Guy Harvey works of art and a full range of beautiful reproductions. As with all Guy Harvey merchandise, a percentage of sales benefits the ocean conservation, research, and education work of the Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation. The Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation will help ensure that future generations can enjoy and benefit from a well-balanced ocean ecosystem. Bring the undersea world into your everyday life at GuyHarvey.com.
Just about everyone is fascinated by the mafia. Books and movies like The Godfather, Goodfellas, Casino, and many others became bestsellers and box office hits. Did you know that a century ago, mobsters like Al Capone discovered Florida's tropical climate and sparse law enforcement? Mafia bosses from around the nation began setting up illegal operations in Florida. Now, for the first time, a new book titled Sunshine State Mafia, A History of Florida's Mobsters, Hitmen, and Wise Guys provides vivid stories and never-before-seen images of dangerous criminals who settled in Florida full or part-time. Written by renowned author Doug Kelly, Sunshine State Mafia exposes the hidden history of the mob throughout the state and includes Doug's own brushes with crime figures. Sunshine State Mafia is available at all major book retailers, or obtain a signed copy by calling 727-724-4949. or email sunshinestatemafia@gmail.com. Discover Clearwater like never before with iloveclearwater.com. Whether you're a resident or a visitor, our website is your go-to source for all things Clearwater. Find the best hotels, restaurants, parks, shopping, and events all in one place. Dive into our engaging photos and videos. Explore over 500 informative articles. Visit iloveclearwater.com today and experience the best of Clearwater. iloveclearwater.com, your ultimate guide to Clearwater for fun, sun, and smiles.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Thanks for listening to the Kelly Kelly Show. I'm Kelly Kelly. I'm here with Doug Kelly, my better half.
Hey.
And we have a great guest today, Mayor of Clearwater, Bruce Rector. Welcome to the show.
It's great to be here as always.
Yes. So we're going to go and talk about something unique. You recently went to Africa.
That's right.
And how did that came about?
Well, I go to lots of galas and fundraisers for different organizations, many great organizations here in Tampa Bay. And so 2 years ago, I was at the Habitat for Humanity Gala in St. Petersburg at the Vinoy. And one of the many excursions, trips that they auctioned off was an African safari. So many of those are unaffordable for me. Mm-hmm. So I usually don't even consider raising my paddle, a Swiss chalet for 12 people. Yeah. I'm not sure I can find 12 friends that haven't. I don't know if I can find two or three friends to have enough money to help me with that. But this one was, it was $4,000 for two to go over there and to enjoy safari with. You had to get your airfare, but everything else was paid for, and ended up giving away a number of them that night, but I raised my paddle and committed myself to do it. Mm-hmm. So I thank Habitat for doing that because it was a bucket list for me, mm-hmm. and I would not have gone had it not been for that auction.
That's wonderful.
Having the opportunity. And it was life-changing, the trip that I had. And I thank Habitat for Humanity for giving that opportunity and motivating me to take that bucket list trip.
That's awesome.
Plus, you helped them out with the auction.
Yeah.
So everybody won.
Yeah, that's right. And when you get there, you find that this reserve, the lodge, you're meeting people from all around the country who have done the same thing to support charities in their cities where they're coming from.
Really?
So a couple from on my last day there, I met the retired city manager from Pinellas Park who had been there. He had gotten his trip through Big Brothers Big Sisters of Pinellas County. So all these folks there at that reserve were there supporting some charity in their community.
That's awesome. How long was the trip, and what country was it in?
Mm-hmm. It was in South Africa, which is a long trip, very long trip for us. But it was in a reserve north of Johannesburg. Mm-hmm. So you had to fly to Johannesburg, and then we took another flight up to Durban, and then it was probably 3-hour drive from Durban up to the reserve. And so it was out in, right next to the national park, and the reserve was close to the national park, and just stunning scenery and safe. I mean, we had an enclosed compound, so there was no concern about getting eaten by a lion, during the night. But the accommodations were great. The people were fantastic. I almost enjoyed the people of South Africa as much as I did the fantastic scenery and animals. It was really a wonderful experience all around. And the safari part for us was about 6 days.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes a day and a half to get there, day and a half back. Then we spent 3 days in Johannesburg afterwards, but it was about 6 days out there in the safari.
And what kind of a safari was it? Was it a photography? Was it shooting?
Yeah, it was photography. Okay. My brother is an avid hunter. He would have loved to go over there and hunt, but it was just photography and getting so up close to these animals. I mean, I'm literally 5 feet away from a cheetah, 5 feet away from a lion.
They're wild?
Yes, they're all in the wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. They're not behind glass. They're
an elephant. I was 5 feet away. All these animals, you were close enough. You didn't want to touch them, but you could have touched some of them if you wanted to.
Wow.
It was just an amazing experience. And I tell folks that it's one thing to see animals at Zoo Tampa. They're being fed every day. There's a barrier. They can't reach up
Right.
and swipe you across the forehead if they don't like you getting too close to them. Here they could.
Wow.
They could come at you. And it was interesting to see how animals who have predators out there reacted when they heard predators in the area, how they called out to one another.
Really?
One day we saw a lion, 2 lions cross the road in front of us. So when they got across the road into the trees, we hear the baboons going crazy,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
calling out to one another to warn them that the lions were in the area.
Wow.
And the giraffes, sit way up, and you could just hear their ears perk up. And then as soon as they started paying attention to what's going around, all the other animals started figuring out too, because there were some cheetahs playing up on a hill, and they were all very attentive to that. So, it just seeing animals in that natural environment where survival was a big part of their day, it was one of not the most fascinating experience I had in my entire life.
Exhilarating.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of vehicle were you in?
So like an oversized Jeep, seated
Okay.
about 8 people. And I think we had 8 people in our group. Plus we had a tour guide who was with us every day. And so we did a lot on the reserve, but we also went into the oldest national park in Africa, the continent of Africa, for some other excursions. There were more lions in that area than the other area. And I would say that's everybody wants to see lions when you're there. They're harder to find, not as hard as a leopard, because the leopards are nocturnal, and you really probably don't want to be out there at night,
No.
checking things out.
No.
Sure.
Maybe you want to be, but it's not the safest thing to do. So everybody wants to see the lions, and so you had to really get out off the reserve to see lions.
Was that the big 5 rhinos and lions and hippos?
Right.
And I forgot the other 2. Water buffalo, maybe?
Well,
Yeah. Anyway, I was in Cape Town many years ago, and the thing I found remarkable was you could be standing on the roadside looking out at the water, and a wild baboon will be right next to you, and there's teeth. It's scary.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's
In your hand,
intimidating.
probably.
And some of them are begging and they're trying to grab things and whatever. So it can get kind of dicey sometimes,
Yeah.
wandering around on your own.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So when those 3 lions crossed the road, were you hanging out of the Jeep,
No.
snapping away?
Well, we didn't get real close to the lions. An interesting story. We spotted a lioness up on a hill, and so we sat down by the road. And our guide says, "We're gonna sit here for a while. There's water down here at the bottom of the hill. Eventually, that lioness will come down and want to get some water." So sure enough, we waited. And sure enough, here came the lioness after a period of time and crossed the road, came at us like I was going to cross the front. So he maneuvers around. So she's going to come like right in front of our vehicle when she crosses. And when she got about 20 feet away, she came around a brush, and we saw a warthog
Uh-oh.
before the lioness did. And as soon as she turned the corner and saw the warthog,
It was over.
yeah, it was a chase.
Wow.
So
That's not something you get to see very often.
no, from 20 feet away.
Incredible.
So,
Wow.
yeah, we didn't actually see, for those, I'm not trying to scare people off
Yeah.
by going, we
Yeah.
didn't actually see anything that would, scar you for the rest of your life. But it was just that you're out there in nature where the circle of life is going on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was
Eat or be
fascinating.
eaten.
Yeah.
What about what's it, Teskey flies or something?
Mm-hmm.
I hear they'll fly right into your neck or something and bite you. Are they that bad?
Well, for anyone who's worried about that, I would
Yes.
say that we hardly saw any bugs at all. And
Really?
they were having a really wet winter.
Uh-huh.
But I hardly saw any bugs at all.
That's
No
nice.
mosquitoes,
That's
nothing
nice.
No,
like that.
a couple of mosquitoes.
Huh, wow.
But I took all the malaria medication
Oh,
just
you
to be
had
on
to
the
do
safe
that
side.
first.
Wasn't required to,
Okay.
but took it anyway just to be safe.
Uh-huh.
But the bugs, now you would see the flies and bugs on the zebras. That's why they got their tail, and
Mhm.
the animals. But we didn't see many bugs at all.
Now, normally, do you get attacked by mosquitoes? I heard that certain blood types.
Oh, I grew up in Indiana where
Okay.
you got eaten alive during the summer
Okay,
with
okay.
mosquitoes
So
for
I was just
sure. Yeah.
wondering if you're just different from other people.
No.
Okay.
No.
Interesting. Okay. Was that the most exciting moment you had, or is there anything else?
I'd say the line was well. Here's another one too. I would say our tour guide. He was brave or crazy, one of the two. There's a fine line between the two, but he had a relationship with elephants, and he knew the elephants and knew the kind of their individual. He knew which what they personally did or didn't do. So he would get us right up on them. In fact, there was one time an elephant nudged our vehicle.
Oh my God!
Because it didn't like us being in the way.
That's scary.
And then we met another group of them on a road, and this elephant came right at our vehicle and looked at us from about 60 feet away, and then started to charge.
Oh my gosh! Oh.
And he tells us, everybody, just be calm. Nobody react.
Don't get out.
Stay in the vehicle.
Yeah.
And so we held our ground, and that elephant stopped 15 feet away
Is that
from
right?
our truck after it charged.
It was
from
a
the other.
bluff.
And there's some video where in different parts of Africa, the elephants have overturned vehicles here recently. They charge and they overturn the vehicle. But in this case, the elephant stopped, and afterwards he was telling us that the worst thing you can do if any animal charges, but particularly elephants, is to show fear. If you retreat, run, now
You're done for.
you're done. You have to hold your ground. If you hold your ground, then you'll be good. So we did that, and everyone afterwards was.
Oh my goodness! Your heart must have stopped though.
Well, yeah, it was a little unsettling. Yeah.
Your voice went up.
Some of our vehicle more than others, but it was a little unsettling for
That's
sure.
true. In the wild, pretty much totally is if you start running away, well, their natural instincts to chase you.
Right.
You become prey.
Right.
So still, it's hard to control yourself. I don't know if you're a diver or not, but I've been in the water and saw a mako shark come sliding right underneath me. And the worst thing you could do is panic and start paddling and rush to the surface and whatever. You just got to freeze and just hope it's not having a bad day.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
that's great. But imagine that come running up 15 feet away.
I can't
And he
imagine.
just stared at you and then walked off, or what happened? Or you moved away?
Well, what happened, the elephant stops, and then our guide begins this kind of gradual retreat. Instead of
Waving
just
at
turning
yours,
and
or-
go that fast, we just kind of, he'd back up a little, pause, back up a little, and kind of inch our way out.
Wow.
And that worked well.
You see any baby elephants?
Oh, yeah, we saw. Yeah.
What did you eat? We like food, so that's a natural question for us.
Well, I've been all around the world. I think, prior shows.
How many countries?
50 countries in 1 year. So
Wow.
I've had some pretty, interesting things over the years.
Mhm.
But the food there was, because, there was an English colonist. I mean, it was pretty
Standard fare.
American in a lot of the food.
Okay.
So
Well, that's disappointing, actually.
there was some gamey type
Okay.
things, kudzu and some things, which is a
Interesting.
little bit like an elk or a deer.
What does kudus taste like?
Kudus.
Kind of like venison, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's, but it had a gamey taste to it.
Okay.
That's probably the most interesting thing.
And were you intense? Not intense. Were you sleeping intense?
No, you could. And our guide was telling us that he does walking tours.
Oh my.
Not in South Africa. I think he's Zimbabwe or somewhere elsewhere in Africa. But he does walking tours, and there you're in a tent, and it's a little bit, there are little slithery things there in
Yes.
Africa too, poisonous,
Yes, there
that you'd have to have I mean, the elephants you can see from a distance and you know what you're doing, but the slithery things kind of sneak up on you.
Yeah.
So we were in a lodge, and we had that option.
I got you.
Nice and
Not
comforty.
a regular hotel room.
Okay.
Yeah. 3 great meals a day at the reserve. I mean, it was really comfortable.
For security, was there like a guy with a high-powered rifle or flares or something in case of an
Well,
emergency?
he carried a weapon just in case, we got in big trouble. But
Sure.
our guide and all those guides over there, but our guide in particular, loves animals. Loves animals.
What a perfect job.
Yeah.
Oh, and he knew so much about every animal. I learned so much about habits and how they hunt and how they keep from getting hunted, and he was just fascinating. But all of his guides, they deeply care about the animals.
That's perfect.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more with Bruce Rector, Mayor of Clearwater, Florida. But we're going to take a little break here, hear from some of our sponsors, and we'll be back. Don't you go away.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
In 1955, the law firm now known as Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes made a decision. Instead of taking whatever cases came through their doors, they decided to focus specifically on personal injury. 64 years later, the law firm is one of Clearwater's longest-running personal injury firms. Available 24 hours a day with offices in Clearwater and throughout Tampa Bay, they're ready to put decades of experience to work for you if you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or injured due to someone's negligence or recklessness. If you feel overwhelmed, uncertain, or unsure about your next steps after being involved in an accident or after a loved one sustained serious injuries due to someone else's negligence, call Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes at 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. That's 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. Non-attorney spokesman.
Shop the largest selection of Guy Harvey apparel, artwork, and gift items at GuyHarvey.com. From the world-renowned marine wildlife artist, the Guy Harvey online shop features the latest in performance apparel, classic Guy Harvey t-shirts, decor for every room in your home, exquisite ocean-inspired jewelry, and unique gift items, including custom merchandise not available anyplace else. Browse an extensive catalog of original Guy Harvey works of art and a full range of beautiful reproductions. As with all Guy Harvey merchandise, a percentage of sales benefits the ocean conservation, research, and education work of the Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation. The Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation will help ensure that future generations can enjoy and benefit from a well-balanced ocean ecosystem. Bring the undersea world into your everyday life at GuyHarvey.com.
Just about everyone is fascinated by the mafia. Books and movies like The Godfather, Goodfellas, Casino, and many others became bestsellers and box office hits. Did you know that a century ago, mobsters like Al Capone discovered Florida's tropical climate and sparse law enforcement? Mafia bosses from around the nation began setting up illegal operations in Florida. Now, for the first time, a new book titled Sunshine State Mafia, A History of Florida's Mobsters, Hitmen, and Wise Guys, provides vivid stories and never-before-seen images of dangerous criminals who settled in Florida full or part-time. Written by renowned author Doug Kelly, Sunshine State Mafia exposes the hidden history of the mob throughout the state and includes Doug's own brushes with crime figures. Sunshine State Mafia is available at all major book retailers, or obtain a signed copy by calling 727-724-4949 or email sunshinestatemafia@gmail.com. Discover Clearwater like never before with iloveclearwater.com. Whether you're a resident or a visitor, our website is your go-to source for all things Clearwater. Find the best hotels, restaurants, parks, shopping, and events all in one place. Dive into our engaging photos and videos. Explore over 500 informative articles. Visit iloveclearwater.com today and experience the best of Clearwater. iloveclearwater.com, your ultimate guide to Clearwater for fun, sun, and smiles.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Thanks for listening to the Kelly Kelly Show. I'm Kelly Kelly. I'm here with Doug Kelly, my better half, and Mayor of Clearwater, Bruce Rector. And he is telling us all about his safari in South Africa. And before we dive in again, what was the name of the reserve that you went to?
Zulu Nyala.
Zulu Nyala.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the Zulu tribe, the
Okay.
Zulu history was very much a part of that part of South Africa. And we had cultural performances every other night there while we were having dinner.
Were they
Just-
dancing in
Mhm,
cultural
yeah.
dress?
Yeah. How about Watusis? Were there Watusis or Mau Maus?
You just said Zulu, honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different tribe, right?
But like I said, I mean, the animals and the interaction with the animals was incredible, fascinating. But
Wow.
I love talking with the people there, learning about their heritage. You know, they went through a very tough time with colonization and
Apartheid.
got their country back, and just to hear those stories and about where they are now as compared to where they were was just fascinating for me. One day we were traveling up to the national park, and it took us about an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to the national park from the reserve. And all these people are walking at dawn. We left before sunrise. So as the sun was coming up, all these people are walking along the highway. All these people along the edge of the highway. There's no sidewalks. You're just walking along the road. So I asked our guide, I said, where are all these people going? And he said, they're going to work. I said, oh, well, I said, pretty short walk. He said, because they were out in the middle of nowhere walking along the highway. He said, no, they'll walk as long as 10 kilometers each way to get back and forth to work each
What
day.
is that, like 3 or 4 miles?
6. Yeah.
6 miles.
Yeah. To
Wow.
get back and forth to work every day.
Wow. Can you imagine?
Well, that's something we don't even think about.
No.
Here. You know, how hard it is to earn a living and feed your family.
Yeah.
And for them, even that was a difficult challenge.
You know, a lot of people don't realize, too, that South Africa is a huge producer of wines
Mm-hmm.
and wineries. Did you happen to visit any of the wineries there?
I didn't go to the wineries,
Of course.
but they have a grape called Pinotage there, and it was the best red wine I've had ever.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah,
Let me write
fantastic.
that down.
Yeah.
What is that now?
Pinotage. Pinotage. Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll check it out. We'll check it out for sure.
For sure.
Are you going to make a return trip? Or is that enough?
Well, I've got a lot of travel this year. You know, we've got city councils going to Japan to visit our sister city, Nagano.
So is the board.
So yeah.
Yep.
So
That's in July.
Yeah. So, you know, I think a trip to South Africa and Japan in 1 year
Yeah.
be enough for
that's
this
tough.
year. But
Yeah.
I would love to go back, though. It
Yes.
was just fascinating.
I'd like to know what other animals you saw.
Well, cheetahs, you know, we saw hippos. We saw rhinos.
From a distance.
Right. Well, a hippo is pretty dangerous.
Yes.
I think they kill more people in Africa than any other animal.
Right.
I mean, they are fun to watch from a distance, but you got to keep that in mind.
Mhm.
And then the rhinos. There's a black rhino and a white rhino. The white rhinos are almost extinct.
Wow.
So that was interesting to see.
You saw one.
We did. Yeah.
Wow.
And the problem they're having in South Africa, really everywhere around the world, but definitely South Africa, is the poachers are taking the horns from the rhinos.
Yeah, they grind them down.
And they'll kill the rhino to take the horn.
That's crazy.
Wow.
That's terrible.
So the government has these environmental protection folks out with rifles and watching at night
Mhm.
to make sure. But the poachers are so sophisticated, they'll fly helicopters in,
Really?
to do whatever
So
they
much
can get to
money.
get those horns. They're so valuable.
Yeah.
Wow.
Enormous amount of money. That's too much.
Did you meet with any local officials or leaders during your trip?
So I didn't get a chance to. I reached out to the mayor of Johannesburg and almost did, but Johannesburg's a major city with. Tell folks, you know, we have some traffic challenges here in Clearwater, but nothing like they have there.
Really?
So, to get from where I was at down to City Hall to see the mayor was something I couldn't arrange with his schedule, but I did, you know, check out what he's doing there and how he's leading his city. And around Johannesburg, like anywhere I go, I'm always trying to learn things that they're doing creatively or innovatively that we might do here.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any ideas come back maybe to help Clearwater's parks or community?
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing I just saw a news program today on seagrass, is I was impressed about how important preserving wildlife, maintaining wildlife, how important that is to their economy, to tourism. And we have our own wildlife here that needs to be protected too, manatees in particular, because of the seagrass dying out. So I was impressed by the way they really, for instance, the rhinos, they really are making concentrated efforts to protect those rare animals that people want to see. And we need to also do our part here in Florida,
for sure,
Clearwater, to protect our wildlife, because seagrass is eroding, and that's obviously the primary food source for manatees and other animals. And we just need to make sure we're doing our part to protect our environment as well.
Is there anything a normal person can do to protect seagrass?
Don't take motorized vehicles over a flat, like a mud flat.
Okay.
The props will tear up the seagrasses.
Well, I've seen it out here in St.
Water.
Joseph Sound.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very, very shallow, particularly when you get close to Caladesi Island. And I'll see tracks where people have torn up the seagrass,
leave
cutting
the seagrass alone.
Okay. Now, the state does have a Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, and they oversee state waters on the Gulf and as well as on the Atlantic. And that's one of their big projects is saving the seagrasses, because the seagrasses will hold invertebrates like shrimp, crabs, and of course that's food stuff for fish and other things. So, at any rate, now I'm sure you came back with all kinds of great impressions of how they're handling their conservation of their animals, and the fact they realize it's a tourism resource, and you can't wipe them out.
Yeah.
And just like our beaches, we got to keep on top of the beaches.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, how many visitors come to Clearwater Beach, and one of their most memorable moments is when they see dolphins jumping. Some of our excursions are really good about getting them going out there and enticing them to jump. But for a kid, for a family, that interaction with marine life, that will be often the most memorable part of their trip here. And so we need to protect that and work hard to do it.
No doubt about that.
Absolutely. So do you think this trip helped broaden your perspective as a leader?
Yes. You need to, whenever I've traveled around the world, I went 50 countries in 1 year and wrote the book during really all those travels, just seeing the world a different way and just seeing how people live in different ways is inspiring me as a leader, to see how you can take and preserve and kind of lead city or country. And one of my inspiring moments was in Johannesburg with Nelson Mandela. I stayed in Nelson Mandela Square. And so a lot of his quotes were around a statue there of him. And so that caused me to, I knew quite a bit about Nelson Mandela, but I learned quite a bit being in his hometown. And I looked at his life, his leadership in an entirely different way by having been there in Johannesburg.
Can you sum up his leadership for those who may not know? What was he for?
Well, he spent many years in prison, and so just I'd say when things look really tough as a leader, and it doesn't get much tougher than it was for him,
for sure.
To still believe in your cause and fight for what you believe in passionately. And he did, and went through adverse times. And we all go through adverse times, whether it's community or city or leaders, and just to have that persistence and stick to your values to pursue through that. And that's been one of the most inspiring things to me.
It's a country with mostly Black residents.
Right.
And of course, historically, it's always been run by white people. And it was called apartheid,
Right.
still is. And he was a titular head, more or less, of the movement to have a black person who's qualified become leader of the country.
Right.
What impresses me about Mandela, I don't think I could possibly have this kind of fortitude, but he was put in prison for years. When he got out, he forgave everybody.
Yes.
He was not bitter, did not seek retribution. I'm sure some of his supporters were bomb throwers, who knows what, but he was a peaceful guy.
Yes.
And that must have been incredible.
Yes.
I was in Africa and I did not get to see that. So that's kind of something I'd like to do going back at some time. So when we went from Miami to Cape Town. It was a 13-hour flight. How long was yours?
So I didn't go first class, but went business class. So to get that price down a little bit, we went from Tampa to London, spent a day in London, and then I went from London to Johannesburg. So it was a longer flight. It was probably 8 hours to London and then probably 11 or 12 from London to Johannesburg. So
Wow.
it was
It's nice to break it
it
up
was
like
quite
that.
a flight, but
Yeah.
I've told people several of this. It's a little bit of a Clearwater story, so I'll tell you. So you can fly direct from Tampa to London on Virgin Airways.
Okay.
So that's how we flew. And so after we spent the day in London, we're getting on the plane. We're on the plane going to Johannesburg from London. And in front of me, they have a screen and they're rotating through Virgin Airways destinations all around the world. Barbados, New York City, San Francisco, London, you name it. They've got all, and Johannesburg was one of them. They're all rolling through there. And for each city, there was a Virgin destination that had one picture, some iconic photo of New York City or whatever. And so I'm sitting there just watching, looking at the different destinations, and I see Tampa pop up.
Oh, really?
What
And
was the picture?
Clearwater Beach. From
Naturally.
the Opal signs to Pier 60. I took a picture of it, put it on social media because, but that was a leadership lesson in me.
Yes.
For me to, yes, we are an international destination.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And I'm going to have lunch with Mayor Castor and Mayor Welch tomorrow. I'm going to rib Mayor Castor about it a little bit. You know, Tampa's picture was Clearwater Beach, but we need to not forget that. People
Absolutely.
from all around the world are coming to our beach every day. And we need to continue to grow that international
I'm
presence.
going to go so far as to say that Clearwater Beach is the most picturesque place in Tampa Bay.
Mhm.
Do you agree?
Well, evidently, I agree, and Virgin Airways agrees.
That's
So
right.
there we go.
Well, it always rates high with the entities that rate beaches around the world, and it's
Mhm.
always right up there. Sometimes number one, several times.
And I think they throw it in a fishbowl, and I know they don't do this. Okay, it's based on sand quality, but sometimes it seems they throw it in a fishbowl and pick which one's going to be first.
Did you go up to the stewardess and say, "Do you know who I am?"
No, no, because the answer I'll probably get is, "Well, sir, if you don't know who you are, then we need to get you some help." You know?
Shove off, creep.
Did you bring back any souvenirs?
No,
You did not.
No. I've traveled all around the world,
Yes.
and
Is your house full of souvenirs, or no?
I've never really been stopped by customs, but
Okay.
the time you fill out the paperwork to bring stuff in, I just
Yeah.
don't.
We have also been to a lot of countries, so magnets are a thing.
72.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's travel is great because not only different scenery, but you experience different wines and whiskeys and cuisine. But it's the culture, it's the people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the differences in how they cope and how they live, their history, and where they're going, and it's fulfilling.
It
It
is.
is. Travel's fulfilling.
Seeing
There's no
it.
doubt about it.
It's great seeing how people are different, but in the end, we're all the same too. So
I have an idea that I'll bounce off the council at some point when maybe some of the issues aren't as red hot as they are right now. And that is, we have Ruth Eckerd Hall.
Mhm.
We have the Sound at Coachman Park. We have
Capitol Theater.
Capitol Theater. So we have a lot of celebrities who come and play here. Why don't we have a celebrity hall of Walk of Fame
Yeah.
like they do in Los Angeles?
Handprints.
Find a place, where you get concrete slabs.
Oh, you got lots of concrete down in Coachman Park.
And you just obviously contract with somebody so they can put their hand in it or their feet or their nose or whatever it may be. And it's an attraction.
Yes.
It's huge in LA.
It's a great idea.
Anyway, it's not something I've
You're
taken
throwing
a
that out there.
pen or pencil to, but it's just, again, appreciating what we have as a magnet and
For sure.
and making sure we care for it. And it's tough. You've got beach erosions, you've got red tides. There's a lot of challenges to do that. But we are on that. We're on it because we have to be. So
Yes, but look at how quickly we bounced back, right? From these last 2 storms, 3 storms. Yes, we're resilient.
Okay.
And we pulled together as a community.
Absolutely.
I mean, the reason where we're at today in recovering from the hurricanes is the way the community pulled together.
Sure.
Absolutely.
How about some fun questions?
Well, I want to get these 2 questions in first.
I beg your pardon.
Yes. Would you recommend South African and animal safari to Clearwater residents looking for adventure?
Absolutely. And I would also say it's really, really helpful to our charities, our organizations that offer these packages. We're at a time coming out of these hurricanes where our charities, they need more support than they ever have. And you're really helping us recover by helping the nonprofits and charities that are offering these. So it's a chance to do something really extraordinary that you'll never forget, but also it's a chance to help out local charities.
Very good.
And the auctions are usually fun. I mean, they're donated items and they get trips and merchandise and paintings and other artwork. And, I can't resist. When I go, I love to bid on something, even if you lose. You get the bids up there and you're helping a charity.
Yep.
That's true.
It's cash.
Lastly, what's next on your travel bucket list? And will it involve more wildlife?
Ybor City.
No, I'm actually going back to London.
That's my favorite
June
city in the
1st
world.
through the 4th for a group called Global Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
It's an economic development trip with Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas County.
Really?
And then Mayor Castor, Mayor Welch, and I also go as well to have the 3 largest cities in Tampa Bay. So that's my next trip is to London.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, we love London.
Yeah, my favorite city.
Yeah.
So I only have one complaint. I think you posted 5 pictures on Facebook of this trip.
That's not enough. That's not enough.
That's not enough. No. Okay.
Well, believe me, I got hundreds of them. So
Yeah,
it's just a matter of having the time to sort through them to post them.
I hear you.
Okay. So now for some fun questions. What's your favorite African animal?
Well, I'd have to say the giraffe, probably.
Okay.
One of the first things that our guide shared with us is that they don't really have any natural predators. They're so tall, I guess, that they don't have anybody. So I thought that was interesting. And they and you can kind of tell the way they maneuver around that, they're, kind of no pun intended, they're kind of above all the predator thing.
You know why they have such a long neck, don't you? Because their head is so far from its body.
You had to get the.
That was lame. I admit it.
But I tell you, the most sought after animal over there is the lions. That's why
course.
people
Really?
go. They want to see lions.
And that roar when you do hear it, oh my gosh, that's stunning.
For sure.
And you can hear it a mile away. It's
Yeah.
incredible. It's incredible.
Would you rather camp under the stars in the Serengeti or stay in a luxury lodge?
Well, when I was younger, maybe camp, but at my age, I want to be in a lodge.
Those sheets and pillows feel good.
I'm able to enjoy the environment more if I've had a good night's sleep. So,
That's true enough.
Very true. Which would be scarier, hearing a lion roar outside your tent or spotting a snake in your boot?
I'm
Guess it
not really
depends on the
crazy
snake.
about snakes. I mean, I can handle a lion roaring, but yeah.
Okay.
Snakes get your willies
Snakes,
up.
yeah.
Huh?
In my boot, that's a little bit too close too.
Yeah,
lying
that's true.
outside the tent's different.
What's one item you must pack for a safari besides your clothes and a camera?
Binoculars.
Okay. Good
a
answer.
really good set of binoculars
Okay.
helps you see, because some of these animals are pretty far away when you first
Okay.
spot them, and to be able to help track them. And the guide was great at tracking, whether, looking at foot tracks or feces, believe it or not.
Tell us
Yeah,
about that's interesting. Tell us
yeah.
what the
Well,
guy
he
does.
could tell by how fresh the feces was and what they'd been eating, where they had been.
And how
And what
long-
kind of animal?
Yeah.
And how long
And
ago?
what kind of animal, too.
And how long ago they were
yeah.
there?
That's amazing.
Yeah. But when he would spot an animal off or think he knew where they were at, we would help him find them with a good set of binoculars. So
Mhm.
binoculars are very important.
Sure.
Okay, and
Yeah.
as a sports enthusiast, you have a great pair of binoculars, don't you?
Well, we had one of our friends that was in our group from Orlando. He had like a killer set of binoculars. So
Cool.
next time I go, I would get the highest, best you could get.
Okay, that's good information. Which would you rather face in a river, a crocodile or a hippo?
Well, neither, but like I said earlier, I think
Mhm.
hippos kill more people in Africa than any other animal.
That's incredible.
So I'd probably take my chances with the crocodile.
Okay.
Maybe you could hit him over the nose or something, whatever you're supposed to do with an alligator to ward him off. So,
Well, I heard too in that regard that crocodiles, when there's humans coming in present, like on a boat or whatever, they tend to move, submerge, stay hidden because they sort of sense maybe you're too big for prey or different or dangerous, who knows what. Whereas a hippo, if you're coming around the corner in a small boat and there's a couple, 3 hippos sitting there staring at you, you're in big trouble. Unless
They
you
will charge.
you better turn around
Yep.
and hope you have an engine on it, because
Yeah.
otherwise you're going to get swamped and
Yeah,
they'll
true.
kill you.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
The interesting thing about the hippos, though, is they cannot swim.
They can't swim.
They walk on the bottom of the.
I did not know that.
Yes.
They're just so heavy.
I didn't
huh?
know it either.
Yeah.
They don't swim. They walk on the bottom. So
Is
you'll
that
see them
right?
go under and they're walking on the bottom, and then they come up for air and they go back.
Wow.
And they move
See, I
by
learned
walking on the
something right there.
bottom. Yeah. Yeah.
I did too.
Okay. And last question, what was the most adventurous thing you've ever eaten?
Well, in Iceland, they serve a cheese spread, which is a shark that's been buried in the ground for years to ferment, and then they serve it as.
And that's a hard no for me. I don't
Yeah,
but you ate that.
I mean, it's
You
one
ate
of
it.
the. Well, just barely tasted it.
Yeah.
But it's-
Okay. And how was
They
it?
joke about it. You don't want to eat it.
Okay.
Yeah, Gordon Ramsay did that on one of his
Yeah, it's-
adventures.
I remember that.
It's nasty. You
Yeah,
couldn't,
it's
you
not.
couldn't do it.
Yeah, he would move his mouth over and let it drop
Yeah.
out of his mouth.
And then the shot that comes after it was even worse.
yeah, absolutely.
How about you, Ed? What's the most adventurous thing you've ever eaten?
My girlfriend's cooking.
Oh my
Oh.
God. Is that good or bad?
Somebody's in trouble.
No.
Yeah.
I tried elk.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
elk is delicious.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So is moose. By the
I
way.
just worry about, I go to Whole Foods to get it, but I just worry about how long it's been sitting,
yeah. Now, don't some of the animals, even the wild ones that are obviously all the ones that are out in wild, don't they become habitualized to humans sometimes? Whereas they get used to them so much that I know in Alaska they have like fly-in bear wilderness trips, and the bears are so used to seeing these groups of people, they'll come right up and lay down right next to you. Is it that close yet, or they haven't gotten there?
Some more than others.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you after you've seen a lioness pounce on one, I can understand why they're skittish, but
Yeah.
the warthogs are really skittish. I mean, they see you coming, they will dart
They're gone.
immediately.
Really?
Yeah, they will never stay right next to the Jeep. They will dart they'll see you from 40 feet away and they'll dart off. And like I said, after you saw the lioness, take one. I get it. I'd be darting too. You know?
Yeah.
But some more than others. You can get on impalas, group of impalas. They just stand there while you drive right up on them.
Yeah. Not. I guess they sort of sense where they're safe and where they're not safe, without a doubt. That's great.
Who is Disney's warthog? Pumbaa? Is that
I think it is Pumbaa. Yeah.
Pumbaa?
Wow.
Yeah. So they're not like Pumbaa, not cute.
No, they're cute.
They're cute.
They're
Okay.
vulnerable.
Yeah, yeah. They have a vicious streak though.
Yeah.
Some of them they get habituated to humans to the point where if you're at a picnic table and people see them, they tend to feed them.
What?
And if they don't get fed, they get mad. And when
Sorta
they
like
get
you.
mad, they can be destructive. Yeah. But that's few and far between. That's hardly any reason not to go out and
Absolutely.
enjoy the great outdoors there. It's phenomenal.
For sure. The
Yep.
scariest animal we've ever experienced was either those two giant pigs in French Polynesia
Yeah.
or me almost stepping on a fer-de-lance, which is
Yeah.
a poisonous snake.
Yeah. You're lucky you didn't get bitten by that.
Yep.
Very, very
So,
lucky.
all right.
Well, what would you say to someone who is thinking of going to Africa? And in your own case, you went to Johannesburg and the area around that area. Is there any other areas you would want to go to, or you'd go back to that same place?
I'd go to Cape Town.
Cape Town,
I really, we just didn't, really know enough about it and plan ahead.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I've heard fantastic things about Cape Town.
It's beautiful. A lot of chalets there, and
Yeah.
they got a 3-tiered mall underground partly, and they got Table Mountain and the wineries and whatnot. So it's neat. And
But
the animals.
really, all across Africa,
Yeah.
Victoria Falls, there are all kinds of things. It's one of the most beautiful continents on the face of the earth, and I would encourage folks to find a way to make it happen, to get over there and experience the beauty and wonderful Africa.
You hear that, Doug?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm sold.
Yes.
Sounds like we ought to do some research.
Yes. That
Absolutely.
sounds great.
All right. Well, we also have. You don't have a.
I do.
Oh, you do have a verse.
I do.
Okay,
Proverbs
very nice.
12:10. Whoever is righteous has regard for the life of his beast, but the mercy of the wicked is cruel.
Oh, all right. And
Animals.
I always like to have this sort of saying too that I close with, and that is, don't go looking for happiness, take it with you.
Mhm.
Little philosophy there.
Well, that's appropriate for this show.
Yeah, absolutely. And also we'd like to thank our faithful listeners. We're coming up on our 9th year of being on the
Wow.
air.
Mhm.
We have interviewed literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in the community. We're still in touch with many of them.
Mhm.
And it's
Always looking for guests, too.
always looking for guests, very gratifying. And if you have a story to tell and you think it's remarkable and interesting, get a hold of us. You can reach us at what is our contact info?
Oh, my goodness. I don't know which we use.
Well, we use our email,
Okay.
which is the kellykellyshow@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Simple enough. Or just go to do a search, do a Gmail or a Google search for the Kelly Kelly Show.
Mhm.
And we're on the WTAN station, the Tan Talk Radio Network. And it's been a good ride, and we look forward to more years of
Absolutely.
interviewing business and political leaders like Bruce Rector and others, and giving a platform to people with events and charities.
This has been one of my most favorite shows. I want to thank you. That was really interesting to hear all that.
Pleasure to be here.
Yes.
Very good. Well, we'll have you back sometime soon and give us a little bit more input on what's going on. Take care of yourself, and we'll catch you next week, Monday, same time, same station, for another rip-roaring edition of the Kelly Kelly Show.
Thanks for listening to the award-winning Kelly Kelly Show on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
WTAN Clearwater
FM 106.1